Hello and welcome to the Good Life Meditation for February 24th, 2022. This is something that I do every morning, first thing when I get up, to remind myself of my life objectives and principles and to see how I'm doing applying these to each day. First, last night and yesterday, another sleepless morning. I slept well from about bedtime, which is 9 p.m., until about 3 a.m. when I woke up. And I was awake pretty steady from 3 to 5 when the alarm went off. But it wasn't a worry-filled wake. It was only about the last half hour when I remembered some meetings that I have to put together that I started to worry a little bit because I'm running out of time to get them together. And I'm a little concerned because one element of one of the projects I'm working in is starting to show some worrisome signs. So I was thinking about that. But in terms of a, level of Predawn stress, I would say that it was a mild 3, where 10 would have been about mid-year last year. Jeez, 10 is when it's panic attacks, hyperventilating. Speaking out loud. Someday I should make a video to talk about that because it was so bad. During the pandemic, when I was doing that awful commute, my job was so difficult. I was really having, panic attack mornings. Man, that was bad. Nothing like that. Those days seem to be long gone, and hopefully now with my new position, this is hopefully the last job I'll ever have, and this is a good job. I like this job. I can deal with a little eye opener for the last hour or two of the morning before this alarm goes off. Yeah. Yesterday was another solid day of work. I've really entered that stage. When I first came back to this job, I had about a month of, I should say it wasn't busy, but it was challenging because I had to get everything in place. I was hired to do something particular. And I was given some challenging projects, and I was pretty much left on my own to do that. Looking back, I should have had more sleepless mornings back then. I slept pretty well. That's pretty much past. The thing that I was hired to do is in process now. It's executed, and now it's starting to move into the hands of others, right? So I'm done the thing that I was hired to do. I still have yet to do it, but it's like hired to make, I can't think of an analogy that doesn't sound ridiculous. Hired to make a machine to do something, and I made the machine, and it's doing the thing. Now I just need to let it do its thing. It's up to others to find the utility in that. I think the utility's there. I know it's there because I'm using the machine myself, and others are. The question is, will others be on the others? But yesterday was a solid day of work. I'm supposed to take a break in the morning and the afternoon, and I rarely get to do so anymore. I get a nice break with my wife every day at lunchtime, and she and I walk the dogs to the nearby dog park. But usually by then, my brain is so fried, and her brain is so fried that we don't talk much because we're just so spent. And then we have dinner together as a family, and then Emiko and I like to watch a show on TV together. We talk a little bit, but she and I really catch up on the weekends. So we go out and do all of our shopping, and we have lunch, and sometimes we have dinner. Emily's usually off doing her things. That's when the weekend is the time when Emiko and I enjoy our marriage more in that capacity, the companionship. And I'm looking forward to that more and more. She and I are, as I've said here before, we're fantasizing, we're planning our retirement. And yesterday she was sending me pictures of houses that she had found in Japan. Um, we would like to live in, when we go back to Japan, we would like to live close enough to Tokyo to enjoy its pleasures, yet also be still close enough to Shizuoka, where her family lives, to enjoy, to be participate in that family. So she sent me a real humdinger of a house yesterday. It's in a community called Yaizu, which is no, sorry, not Yaizu. That's where Jim lives, near where Jim lives. Atami is where we were looking at, which is about midway between Shizuoka and Tokyo. But it's right on the foot of the Izu Peninsula, which is a real wild and rugged and beautiful place. And Atami's kind of a resort community. And it was a house that had really nice. It had been remodeled recently. 2 bedrooms. Balconies. Balcony on the first floor, second floor, parking spot for the car. But get this, it's in an area that's famous for hot springs. So the bath, as in the bath, the bathing bath, is fed by a hot spring. And amazing. And all that for $60,000. Wow. No. We could go over and buy a place like that for cash, and then have the pension rolling in. We'd be pretty well set. So, wow. So she shared that with me in the morning, and then she and I talked about that at lunch, and we were talking about what life might be like. Oh, anyway, that was a good day. Hard day of work, stressful day for both Yumiko and I. For me, it's not the stress that I had before. It's more like it's like the tedium of a hard. It's like maybe working on the railroad, or like I said yesterday, the Roman train stroke, or I'm working on the railroad, and I'm just getting too old for that. And Yumiko, unfortunately, has more of the stress, the mental stress of too much. I keep trying to get her to quit that job, but she seems reluctant to do so. We'll have to retire that gal, and then me. One thing we were talking about was, or I was talking about, was I suggested the idea that after Emily is finished with college and has established her own life, Yumiko retire and go over first to Japan and do the reverse of what we did in coming here. Whereas coming here, I came over first and got a whole life set up. I got a job and house and place to live and all that stuff, cars and stuff. And then when Emily and Yumiko came over, I said, you go over first, find us a place to live, buy it. I'll continue to work here until you can get it all set up, get our life all set up there. And then I'll retire and I'll come over here. And it might take a year or two, but we can then facilitate that transition. She seemed to warm to the idea. It worked before. Well, anyway, I didn't think I'd have much to say this morning, but let's do the good life meditation. Here we go. First, my 7 objectives. These are: 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize true limits and true opportunities. And 7, to always do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly. Now my 30 principles. The first principle is the principle of war, to always be fighting against things that I think are true. Number 2 is reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which I use in the pursuit of the aforementioned war. 3. The homunculus, the suggestion that I do not have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. 4. The Anchorhold, the idea that my consciousness resides within me and is ultimately utterly alone. All I can do is really shout across the way to others, but each of us is alone within our skulls, and will die alone in that capacity. 5. The home of good and evil, the idea that good and evil, right and wrong, are ideas. They don't exist outside of us. Number 6 is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, including you and me. 7. The principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is, including people, of course. Then comes 8, the pirate ride, the suggestion that free will is an illusion, that really every decision we make is the tipping point on forces pushing us and jostling us from all sides. Next comes maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. We are mature when we are wise, and we have the strength to not repeat our mistakes, and to further our good successes. Next comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need one another to survive, and our best ends are social ends. And now number 11 is public speaking. To use few words, carefully chosen words, and deliberate words. To review what I'm going to say before I say it. Likewise, what I write. I was doing that yesterday as I was writing some important emails. Reading them once, reading them twice, reading them a third time, and then sending. Getting it closer to the mark with each effort. Next comes temperance, and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Controlling my consumption of all things, including life. Then comes the horror show. Life is a horror show, chock full of terror. And then comes that which must be borne, which is the fact of the horror show and all of the responsibilities that we weight upon ourselves in pursuit of the good life. Then comes number 15, the Feast of Offal, all the waste and byproduct of our intemperate living. I try to hold that within and not soil my friends and family with that. And when other people are throwing theirs about, I try to stay out of the way. Number 16 is distraction. And number 17 is the great indifference. We distract ourselves through work and play and hobbies and sports, everything, anything, politics, whatever you name it, so that we don't have to see the awful indifference of the universe. Next comes the best seat in the house. To not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. And number 19 is the path of wildness, the way upward and forward into and through new life, collecting facts, giving ourselves time to consider them, and then making a decision, possibly weighted with our gut instinct. And number 20 is the risk of avoiding risk, the identification of a deep level risk, which is to find ourselves and to become the man or woman that we want to be, to have our dream and our adventure. And then also the surface level risks of education, spouse, home, family, security. 21 is sin and damnation. The sins in my worldview are falsity, credulity, hope, faith, superstition, dogma, and gossip. Damnation is the result of any of those, in the here and now. A damnation you can easily escape from by just stopping doing those things. 22 is complete oblivion. The suggestion that when we die, there's nothing left. I won't see any of my loved ones again. I won't have a chance to make amends, and there will be no final justice. Now comes the 23 is the great life adventure. One or more experiences in life that becomes the centerpiece of our living. And then the season of philosophy, 24. Time to record what we've learned along the way. But watch out, the muse only speaks once. When she comes back, if she talks again, it's about something different. Then comes the bullseye aim. Life is striving towards the mark, but usually missing. And then the 26, the uphill climb. Life is a steady march upward, upward. And then arena and utility. Life is this venue for the pursuit of our better living. And we use our objectives and principles to that end. And then one thing, sorry, this, nothing is enough. The suggestion that less is better. And then I've missed one, because I've got 29 now, which is the principle of fun, to have a good time. I missed one somewhere along the way. I thought I did that so carefully. What did I miss? The dangers of the lightning round. Anyway, that's that for today. Well, I know what I missed. I missed my objective of doing things slowly and carefully. I went fast. And see what happens? The bullseye aim. I missed the mark. Okay, now for today. Today's my last day of work for the week. It's a Thursday. Tomorrow's my Friday off. I want to finalize 2 meetings. Very important I do that. I need to send a broadcast email to everybody. And I need to attend a number of meetings. I have at least 5 meetings I need to attend today. Oh, and I have a training to deliver. The final training in a series. Lots to do today. So time to get started on doing it. So I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe.